Okay, so Evan, you want to say goodbye?
Not your chance.
Goodbye.
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 Okay, thanks, Lillian and Evan and Rachel. Okay, well, I warned Representative Gomberg that he was going to have a tough act to follow. And so, anyways, with that, we'll turn this over to Representative Gomberg. So thanks, Lillian and Evan and Rachel.
Well, my goodness, thank you. Yes, Martin, that's a politician's worst nightmare is to follow a couple of delightful grandchildren, Lillian and Evan. Wow, nicely done. And I'm so pleased to be with all of you tonight. I got a text a few minutes ago from one of the listeners saying, David, I like your new beard. And I said, well, it's growing on me, which got a smile face in response. But I said, this is my quarantine beard. And as soon as I'm ready to leave the house, it's going to come off. But now it's Earth Day. It's Earth Day, and when I got the invitation to be here with all of you and to say a few words, I have to tell you, I became a little wistful. 50 years ago, I was in high school, and one of my favorite teachers said, David, we're going to be celebrating the very first Earth Day. Would you like to organize some activities? True story. I helped organize on the very first Earth Day at our high school, and out of that we formed something we called the Ecology Club. We had to write the word on the blackboard, if you remember blackboards, with chalk, and we wrote the word ecology and formed a group to promote it. And some of you will appreciate this. I went back and looked in my old high school yearbook, and one of the members of the Ecology Club had written in the yearbook, David, I like you more than I like David Cassidy. So some of you are nodding and some of you are saying, what on earth are you talking about? And you know, 50 years ago, I could not have imagined how the twists and turns that life might have taken, and that eventually I'd meet the most wonderful woman that I've encountered so far, and have the honor and privilege of marrying her, moving here to the coast, the most remarkable place that we have seen in our travels around the world, and to be part of the communities that are here that are working so hard to preserve what we have here. We moved here some 30 years ago. Built a business that won awards for sustainability, and I was very proud of that. And then one night the phone rang, and I don't know if Arnie's heard this story, but it may be the last chance I'll get to share it with him. That one night the phone rings, and this person says, "This is Arnie Roblin," and I said, "Arnie Roblin, the Speaker of the Oregon House?" And he said, "Yes," and I stood up, and he said, "You know, your representative is retiring." And your name has been suggested as somebody to run for that position. And my wonderful wife, Susan, turned to me and whispered, he must have called a lot of other people first. And but we understood what he was asking and what he was talking about. And we spent about 10 days talking about how this opportunity would affect our lives, our marriage, our business, our plans for the future. And we talked about the things that we saw going on in our community and what we could do to try and be supportive of the good things and to be resistant to the other things. And at the end of that, Susan turned to me and said, and if you say no, who's he going to call next? Which is what brought me to the at least run for the Oregon legislature 8 years ago. And it's been a very interesting 8 years. I will tell you that there were highs and there were definitely lows. We've taken steps to sustain our forests and our water and our air and our beaches. We've taken steps to sustain the science that underlies all of those things. And we've also had failures that have made it more difficult to move forward and have really brought divisiveness and the divisions between rural and urban and progressive and conservative and red and blue Oregon to the forefront. And somehow we've got to find a way to come back to that commonality that we all share, because we all care so much about our kids and their future. and the environment that we live in, and our futures, our collective futures. And there have been disappointments, and that brings me to where we are today. And I need to talk a little bit about the environment that we're dealing with right now. And there's not a day that goes by over the last 6 weeks that I haven't taken a long breath and perhaps shared a tear or two for the people in our communities that are struggling. The people that are without work right now, the businesses that aren't sure that they're going to reopen, the families that are concerned about how they're going to pay for their groceries or their rent. And it's a very, very hard, challenging time filled with anxiety. And if you think about it, it's really an example of what happens when humanity messes with nature.
Have 9 billion tons of plastic where you are.
And then nature turns around and messes back with humanity. I don't want to oversimplify things, but I think that's largely what we're dealing with during this epidemic. And I would also share with you, for those of us here on the coast, in very hard terms, that it's a little bit of a dry run, because someday the earth's going to start shaking under our feet here, and nature is going to rear up, and we need to be better prepared for that than we are today. The earth's going to start shaking, the waves are going to come in, and lives are going to change even more than they have changed for us in the last 6 weeks. And it's not just going to be about stores closing and people being without work. It's going to be about shelter. It's going to be about food. It's going to be about healthcare. And we need to pay very, very special attention to that pending event, because it's not whether it's going to come, it's a question of when it's going to come. So I share that with you because I look at this group and I see people who step up every day to make a difference. Whether it is working hard to support candidates that share your values, or just spending time picking trash up on the beach, or helping motivate and educate our young people about their stake, their role in this global challenge that we're all a part of. So 50 good years behind us, 50 years where we've learned a lot more and we've progressed together. And I look forward to the next 50 years of Earth Day and can only begin to imagine where those next 50 years will take us. So I just want to say thanks for all that you do to make a difference for our communities, for the families that live in them, and for our collective future. And I will say tonight on this celebration, keep doing good things.
Yeah, thanks, Representative Gomberg. I've just really enjoyed working with you and your staff. I mean, you folks really do a great job, and you're always there for us on the environment.